Hello, and welcome to another one of our weekly lives. I am excited to be here on Hallows Eve, so happy Halloween to those celebrating. Thank you for joining us, whether you are joining on this live or watching this as a replay. Every single week, we host a different topic on the MBA application journey. We are going through a series of school comparisons. We have done previously school-specific sessions, so you can definitely go to our YouTube and watch replays of those. But sometimes it's helpful to decide to help you decide between different schools. Now, of course, we do know that you are going to apply to more than one school. But if you are trying to really be focused in terms of which schools you select, because obviously you have a limited amount of time, then being really strategic in your school selection is going to be really important. And today we're going to talk about Kellogg versus Booth. Before we dive into those details, I would love to hear where you guys are joining us from, and also just share a bit about our how we organize these sessions. I love it when our viewers are asking questions directly in the chat. So I have another screen on this side, which I will be monitoring to see if there's any questions that come in along the way of the presentation. So this way, I make sure that you answer your direct questions. We have also received questions through the registration, so if I don't get any questions live, we'll go to those towards the end. But I do have several slides to cover, so of course, we'll go through those first before we dive into the one-on-ones. Next week, we're keeping Booth and adding Wharton as a comparison, so Wharton versus Booth. If you are looking to consider both of those schools, then definitely join that session, register for it, write your questions in the registration form. So this way I know what are important things for you and integrate those into our discussion. If you need support in this round 2 application, I know we are essentially 2 months away. Definitely reach out for a consultation and see if what our offerings matches with what you're looking for, and there can be a synergy and partnership to support you on the school selection process. Okay, so why don't we get started? For those of you who are new to this channel, just to introduce myself, I am the founder of C Admissions, which is a MBA coaching firm. We focus primarily on a tailored coaching approach while we have a proven methodology in terms of how we approach the application preparation process. Everything builds on one another. We do tailor the application coaching to the individuals we're working with, because our goal is to get to know the applicants we're supporting and diving deeper into what stories they bring to the table, what experiences will be valuable to an MBA program. So we're matching the candidate with the school's value system. Of course, we have quite a bit of experience placing applicants in M7, T20 categories. So what we found in this application process is the authenticity really almost always wins the game. We do have a comprehensive support. We are methodical in the way we coach, and we approach every person we work with from the perspective of how can we support them in the most effective way, help them increase their chances of admission. Obviously, no one can guarantee admission to any one of these schools, but what you can do is put your best foot forward and present your case in the most authentic and effective way for what the business schools you're targeting are looking for. So, like I said, if you're interested in having a conversation, definitely reach out. But for today, we're going to look at the program, so Kellogg versus Booth, their strengths, the key program differences, some admission insights in terms of what the schools are looking for in the applicants that are successful. Crafting the MBA applications, of course, from a macro level perspective, because we would need to have school-specific details, and then choosing the right program for you. After this session at 11 a.m., I will be with GMAT Club's YouTube channel. I will be talking about shortlisting your business school selection. So if you are interested in getting help, getting a strategy and ideas around how you can shortlist your round 2 applications so that you have the greatest ROI without overwhelming yourself and therefore diminishing the quality of applications, then definitely join. So let's get started then. So let's look at Kellogg first in terms of the class, in terms of curriculum, the culture, and then what are some post-MBA program opportunities. So the class is average size in terms of, the student body. It's about 524, at least it's a class of 26. Acceptance rate is 33.3%. This is on the higher end. Like, of course, you have seen how the other schools we've compared have definitely smaller acceptance or fewer acceptance, smaller acceptance rate. I don't know. Today is not my day. The curriculum is, of course, Kellogg is known as a sort of marketing school, communication school. So it makes sense that the curriculum has a communication focus and leadership, because it's a very collaborative environment where students really are looking to work with one another, support one another on their journey of growth, personal and professional. And communication obviously is one of those characteristics that is really important in leadership, and Kellogg embodies that in its curriculum. The culture is very collaborative, as I mentioned, team-oriented, very much focused around collaboration. So your application, if you end up choosing Kellogg, should focus around how you are someone who is very much team-focused and collaborative in order for you to be able to demonstrate that you have that culture fit. They are looking for diverse experiences, so I would definitely suggest looking at the spectrum of experiences that you've had. And even if you look at the application portal, not just the essay questions, but the application portal short answer questions, you will see that the diversity is prominent in the way they ask questions and what they're asking of you. In terms of post-MBA opportunities, of course, consulting, it's going to be high on the applicants list. Marketing and brand marketing, it's definitely an area that Kellogg really thrives in. For those who are interested in that space, this is a great school for that. And then they have developed quite a strong relationship with the West Coast, so technology and product management is also very prevalent at Kellogg. And I know sometimes applicants think, okay, it's Stanford. Yes, it's Stanford for technology, but there's also other schools that are bringing in the more communication, softer skills to the tech space. And Kellogg is, not to say that they're not bringing the hard skills, of course, but taking in the ethos of what Kellogg focuses on can be brought to the technology space post-MBA. Booth, on the other hand, also has a similar class, slightly larger class size, and slightly smaller, but honestly, like very close together in terms of the acceptance rates. Booth is known to be quintessential finance school, so analytical driven curriculum is very important there. They have some of the largest number of Nobel laureates on faculty. So it does tell you that, economics, finance, quantitative approaches to business decision making is very much a part of embedded in Booth's curriculum. The culture embodies an independent person It's very much, pave your own path, choose your own adventure kind of experience. There's only one class that is required, which then means that you, of course, need to be very independent in terms of how you are crafting your career journey, your career growth. And like I mentioned with the curriculum, it's also, because the curriculum is so analytical, they are also looking for individuals who have analytic aptitude or have, the ability to thrive in that kind of structured environment. In terms of post-MBA opportunities, similar to Kellogg, consulting is, of course, very important, but slightly more different than Kellogg is that finance is a strong place for Boothies that graduate in terms of the sector that they're going in. And when I say finance, I mean all of its sub-fields, sub-areas within finance. So think private equity, venture capital, investment banking, and those kinds of spaces. Excellent. So it seems like there is a Instagram question. Is a 3-year undergraduate degree accepted by both programs, and what are the chances of getting admitted with no GMAT with 3 years of full-time job experience? Yes, both schools, I believe, accept a 3-year program. But to be honest, without a GMAT or GRE, like without a standardized test, essentially, it's very difficult to get into schools that have that are very competitive, and Kellogg and Booth are very competitive in the sense that they have obviously a lot more applicants than their seats, and they are M7s, which are sought after. So with less than average years of work experience and no GMAT, it will be a very difficult conversion. So I would look at perhaps targeting next year and use this time to develop your experiences further. So look at the areas that you need to grow, but then also look at obviously sitting for the test. One of the things that I will say, and I see this often, and it really breaks my heart in the sense of like the applicants that are going through this process where they get waivers of GMAT and they're hopeful, but very few convert to an offer of admission. So recognize that you have to have other areas that are extremely, extremely strong above the presentation of those who are submitting, 5 years of work experience, a test score that is competitive, and everything else that comes to play. It's probably strong GMAT, GPA as well. So keep that in mind when you apply. Obviously, as much as we try to think that the program, as much as we remember that they're not making personal decisions, meaning they're not personally rejecting you, this is a business decision, the feeling of rejection is still very real for those applicants going through them. And I would always suggest that you apply when you have the strongest candidacy, the strongest probability of getting in. Okay, let's continue. So what are the key differences between the two programs? So Booth, I mentioned a few slides ago now, has a very flexible curriculum. There's only one class that is required. So if you're coming in with a very strong foundation in finance, for example, then you don't need to take the sort of like the elementary classes, the sort of like finance 101 equivalent. You are able to place in a higher level, more advanced course within that sort of area of interest, right? So this means that you can really customize your curriculum in a way that is most beneficial to you. Kellogg, on the other hand, has a more structured first year. So you have a core required course load the first year, and then they allow you the flexibility the second year in terms of choosing pathways. Depending on where you are in your career, that can be an element that can be a difference maker in terms of the kind of experience you're looking to have in business school. Business school, I always comment on this, that it's not just about the experience on campus. It's really about the career that you are preparing for, and business school is a stepping stone for you to get there. So choosing a program that aligns with what your values are and what you need is obviously going to be an important selection criteria in terms of which programs you apply to. Now, I'll say there a lot of people apply to both Booth and Kellogg. They're in the same geography, and there are, competing with a highly qualified applicant pools between the two programs. So, of course, keep that in mind. The learning at Booth is very much analytical. So if you are looking to develop that side, or if that's an area that you really enjoy, Booth then may be the right place for you. Kellogg is very much, not that Kellogg is not analytical, but it's much more focused on teamwork, building really strong team and hands-on learning experiences. In terms of post-MBA focuses, the Booth graduates go into finance, of course, technology, and you'll have a little bit of enterprise, sort of entrepreneurship category as well, and consulting, whereas Kellogg has more leadership focus opportunities, so leadership development kinds of opportunities, and that can fall into a variety of different industries that have leadership development opportunities. Social impact is quite important for Kellogg, and of course, I mentioned Kellogg quintessentially is a marketing school, therefore the marketing placements are really, really strong. Okay, my slide didn't work. All right, so some admission insights in terms of what Kellogg is looking for. They are looking for, a person who has strong interpersonal skills, collaborative, and has leadership potential. You are going to want to show this throughout the application. So in both of the essays, in the video component that Kellogg has as part of their application submission process, and of course, in the one-on-one interviews that precede the application submission. The interpersonal skills is where you show them how you are someone who thinks about others instead of just saying it. So when you are crafting your applications, definitely make sure that you are very detailed in your examples in terms of capturing the essence of the person that Kellogg is looking for. I've been talking about this. The community focus is, of course, very important, and evidence of your involvement in community and teamwork is critical to converting Kellogg offer of admission. In terms of the character and the character values that they're looking for, is someone who is adaptable and values diversity of experiences. You will, like I mentioned earlier, you will see this in the application portal in terms of the kinds of questions that they ask. And you do want to make sure that you are capturing this in your application. So if you don't have a lot of diverse experiences, then you want to dive deeper, like that are very transparently diverse. You want to dive deeper into the experiences that you have and highlight those diverse perspectives that you have been exposed to. It's a really important element for Kellogg in terms of who they accept, because it's very much a community-centered school. So being someone who is comfortable in diverse perspective is going to be really important in terms of thriving in the Kellogg community. Okay, as a reminder, if you have questions, just write the questions in the chat, and I will be monitoring it on my second screen over here and answering those questions. Also, if you are new to any one of our channels, definitely join, subscribe, follow, whatever the channel's word is for that. Okay, let's go into the admission insights for Booth. Booth is it's known historically as a finance school. So, someone who can demonstrate that they have the analytical skills and quantitative competence in order to be successful in this quantitatively rigorous program. It is a very independent school, like I mentioned earlier. So the ability to be comfortable and thrive in this kind of structured environment is going to be, or actually not necessarily that structured, in the sense that you can choose your own pathway, but you do need to be independent in terms of your ability to navigate the complexities of this very rigorous academic experience. Booth also cares a lot about someone who has a very clear definition of where they're going, right? That it's very much in alignment with the independent person that they're looking for. And then recognizing the why Booth. Why have you chosen Booth? What is it that Booth offers that you're going to be leveraging to get yourself to the next step in your career? So, it's not going to be enough if you just focus on what Booth has on their website. You really need to know your whys, and your whys are require reflection, require conversation, require details. So strongly encourage that you make sure before you submit that application that you have really dived into the application dived into your goals and being very specific, but also be able to concretely identify what aspects of Booth are you excited to leverage, as well as why those are important for your goals. Kind of echoing the sentiment of the independent personality, self-starter mentality is obviously very important here. You get the sense as I'm speaking that the school wants someone who knows where they're going, who is self-motivated to take the actions that are necessary to get to where they want to go. So that is going to be captured in the different questions that Booth asks about you. So there is a essay that is specifically focused on your goals, and then an essay that is specifically asking you about who you are. So you can elaborate a little bit about more your personality, and the way you do that obviously is person dependent, but it should be very specific with examples to illustrate. In terms of crafting a standout application, obviously, you are going to be tailoring your application to each of the schools. Take into account what is important to them, what values do they hold, and you're going to capture those elements. But obviously, it's not just about you fitting the mold of Kellogg and Booth, but it's also you being authentically you. So what aspects of yourself match closely with the school's values? And if you do that effectively, you are able to capture yourself as someone who is a fit for the school, and obviously increase your chances of getting in. This is one of how we approach coaching applicants through this process, and it definitely requires reflection and definitely requires time to craft in terms of developing your stories effectively. Make sure that when you're applying to business school, your average class has about 5 years of work experience, and they are looking for individuals who have the leadership potential, even if you don't have quintessential traditional leadership skills in terms of managing a team. You do want to demonstrate that you have the potential by capturing experiences that have allowed you to take on ownership of segments of a project or an initiative that you have helped lead to success, right? So the examples that you're selecting also must obviously showcase you in terms of the impact you have been able to make with an element of capturing how you have been a leader. So you definitely don't want to present yourself as someone who is task-oriented, because you are a leader leading, or you will be a leader leading others, and it's really about the ability to manage both the macro level and the minutia details. And again, business schools have your application, and they trust what you're saying to be true. unless proven otherwise. And your recommenders are the individuals who can help strengthen your application or lessen its quality. Recommenders are the only individuals outside of yourself that the admission team gets to speak about you in terms of how other people see you. So choosing the right recommender who can support your application and capture what you bring to the table is going to be a critical element of a strong application. In terms of choosing the right program, so when you're making this selection, I would strongly encourage you that you really look at your goals, what it is that you are looking to attain. Now, goals can be focused on, of course, I have here more on the specific sectors you're looking to go into, which makes obviously a lot of sense. However, your goals can be in terms of also what are you looking to gain? What experiences are you looking to have? What kind of skills do you want to gain that are more perhaps soft skills? And then how does the program support that? You will find quite a bit of information on the website, but all of a sudden you will realize that there's a lot of similar elements across schools. So having conversations with individuals who have experienced that, who have walked the walk, is going to be an important element in helping you choose or find out the details so that you can then choose what program is right for you. In terms of culture fit, if you are someone who is very independent and likes that to be in that kind of environment, obviously in a community of individuals who are very intelligent, and you have a place where there's a lot of intellectual stimulation, but you have the ability to be very independent, then Booth is the right space for you. And then, of course, if you want this very collaborative culture, and if that's what really helps you move forward and be motivated, then Kellogg is probably a better option on that front. In terms of the network, I always talk about how business school is not just about your post-MBA career. This is the long game in your career development. Therefore, choosing a school that has the right networks for you is critical. Are you an international applicant looking to work in the United States for a little bit before going back home? Or you're looking to stay in the United States permanently? Where is your network if you attend each one of the programs, and how would you be able to leverage them should you make career pivots? And that's an important question, because most people do not do an MBA twice. This is a once in a lifetime experience that you want to make sure that you do it right. You make the right selection to begin with, which means you're investing your time effectively in the right programs, and then of course selecting the right program that makes the most sense for where you want to go. Excellent. So that brings us to the end of our slide. There's 2 minutes left. So I will be switching to answering questions. And if you have any questions for me, please write them in the chat so that I can read them. We will not show your name on the screen, so don't worry about your name showing up in a permanent record of the, online space. But again, if you have questions, just let me know. Since there are none currently that I see, let me move to questions that have come through the registration form. So this question is about, not specifically about these two schools, but it's more generally, so rankings for the MBA program that excel in sustainability, corporate social responsibility, and ESG are inconsistent. Very true. Which of these schools is a better fit for a study pursuing a career in consulting? I'm assuming with a sustainability initiative, definitely Kellogg has a more social impact, ESG sustainability angle. I believe they also have a certificate focused on that. So I think if you are looking between these two schools and have that angle, that sort of lens that you're looking at in the schools offering, and obviously consulting for both of them are relatively equal in terms of opportunities, then I would say Kellogg would be the better option between the two. Excellent. One last question before we end our session. How would I know if I align more closely to a typical profile of admitted students at Kellogg? You're going to start by looking at the class profile of the school. This information is readily available on the school's website. And then from there, you're going to have conversations with students to really get a sense of what the opportunities look like. You will, I hope, intuitively recognize where you feel more at home than in other places. And that can help you also understand personality fit, culture fit, in terms of the two schools. Now, there's obviously a lot more to each of the schools. This is the tip of the iceberg. If you want to talk about how we can support this and walk you through this particular journey, then I invite you to reach out to schedule a consultation in terms of discussing what your needs are, how we can support your school selection, your application presentation, and everything in between, beginning of your story till the end of making that final call and going to your target program. So I want to thank you for being here. If you are looking to if you are shortlisting your schools for round 2, I invite you to join my GMAT club session that I will have at 11 Eastern time. So it's it's 11:30. I apologize. It's 11:30. So it's about in an hour's time. And then next week, I'll talk again about Booth, but the comparison is between Booth and Wharton, quintessentially known as finance schools. So for those that are choosing between the two, that's going to be a very interesting discussion. So register for that event, write your question down so we can try to incorporate them into our presentation. Thank you again for being here, and I will see you next week.